Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to tonight's Board of Zoning Appeals hearing. Let me introduce some people from town government that assist this board. On our left, we have Barbara Gervais, attorney to the board, and Blaise Donadio, planner with the planning department. You are here tonight seeking relief from the Smithtown zoning ordinances, and it's our job to try and help you achieve your goals wherever possible. It's your job to provide us with precise and accurate information so we as a board can make a decision based on the facts presented tonight. We as a board must consider the following 5 factors. They are listed here for you in case you forget them like we often do. Whether an undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties will be created by the granting of the variance. Whether the benefit sought by the applicant can be achieved by some other means. Whether the variance is substantial. Whether the proposed variance will have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood, or whether the alleged difficulty was self-created. Now, procedure. Cases will be called in order as they are listed. When you're called, please present your certificate of posting and mailings to Mr. Donadio. Then you'll be asked to go to the podium where you'll state your name and address for the record and proceed to tell us why you need the variance. At the end of your presentation, if anyone in the audience would like to speak on your case, they will be given one opportunity and only one opportunity to do so. Then you can come back to the podium to answer their concerns. Now, there are 3 ways you can find out about your case. You can stay after the hearing, but there's no guarantee that your case will be voted on. You can call the planning department in the morning, or you can wait and be notified by mail. I believe we only have one adjournment for this evening. And it is case number 18056, Jazali 645 Realty, LLC, and they're requesting an adjournment to December 11th. So anyone that's here on behalf of that case, come back on December 11th. And with that, we'll get going. Blaise?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The first case on the agenda is case number 18050, Wayne Rothschild, 6 Putnam Court, Comac. The location of the property is the west side of Putnam Court, 271 feet south of Cayuga Place. The property is zoned R10. The applicant is requesting variances to reduce the minimum side yard from 12 feet to 4 feet and total side yards from 28 feet to 18 feet for an existing 36 square foot doghouse. A variance to decrease the minimum distance to any lot line from 1 foot to 0 for existing paving.
Is Mr. Rothschild or someone here? Oh, come on. I was hoping.
Okay, and do you have the small green and white certified receipts? And if you have any returned letters or undelivered letters, I'll take those too. Yep, that's great. Thanks.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Just state your name and address for the record.
Wayne Rothschild, 6 Putnam Court, Comac, New York.
All right. You want to tell us why you're here, Mr. Rothschild?
I had put a dog kennel on the side of the house on top of my pavers. It's for a service animal for the New York City Police Department Canine Unit.
Okay. Would it be okay if you just try to address some of the criteria, because that's how we vote on cases? If you could just go through them and state whether you agree with them, or you want me to give them to you one at a time?
Yeah, could you? I can't even see that.
One of them. It's okay. One of them is it within the character of the neighborhood?
Yes, it is. It's in the character. When I had the doghouse built, it was built to the, it looks just like part of the house. I have pictures if you would like to see.
I believe we have pictures in the record. One of the other ones is whether the difficulty was self-created.
Yes, it was.
Okay. Also, are there any adverse environmental impacts?
No.
No. Also, is it substantial?
What is
The
that?
variance that you're requesting, is it a substantial
No.
request? And then the final one is, are there any alternatives? Do you have somewhere else that it could go in the yard that does not require a variance?
So my backyard kind of slopes down in 3 levels, and that's really the only flat part of it. That's the reason why I chose that part of the location.
Okay, thank you. Anyone on the board have any questions?
No questions.
Planning?
No, thank you.
Anyone in the audience have any questions? Okay. Need a motion to close the hearing?
So moved. Second.
All fairly moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next case on the agenda is case number 18051, John and Lauren Mara, 3 Beverly Road, Comac. The location of the property is the east side of Beverly Road, 93 feet north of Witchard Boulevard. The property is zoned R21. The applicant is requesting variances to increase the maximum gross floor area from 25 to 26%, reduce the minimum side yard from 16 feet to 13 feet, and total side yards from 34 feet to 29 feet for a 1,095 square foot first floor addition and 225 square foot second floor addition with a 112 square foot covered balcony.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Want to state your name and address for the record?
John Mara, 3 Beverly Road, Comac, New York.
All right. And would you like this other person to speak on your behalf?
Yes, please.
Okay. Hi. Just your name and address for the record.
Sure. Ken Schulman, 209 Lynn Avenue, East Northport.
Want to tell us why you're here this evening?
Yes, we are proposing a rear addition, which will be 18 feet by 60 feet in size, which does not meet the minimum side yard setback of 16 feet.
Mike working?
Can you hear, Rick? Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
We are proposing 13.9 feet, and I believe there was a mistake when the aggregate was mentioned at 29 feet. It's actually 33.2 feet, where 34 feet is required. I don't know how the building department came up with that number. The addition is going to be built in line with the existing side walls of the house, but the side property line angles in, reducing the existing conforming 16.5 setback by 2.6 feet, giving us the non-conforming 13.9 feet. I'd like to point out that adjacent to that side of the property is a vacant parcel of land which is heavily wooded, which I don't believe will ever be built on. Therefore, there's not going to be any visual impact from that area of the neighborhood. Also, we are seeking a variance to go over the maximum allowable gross floor area of 25%. We're proposing 26%, which amounts to 165 square feet. The existing gross floor area is 19%. Since this addition is built entirely to the rear of the house, I don't believe there will be any visual impact from the street. Therefore, I believe this will be keeping in character of the neighborhood, will not have an adverse impact on the surrounding properties. I don't think any of these variances are substantial. Since the property line angles in, this was not a self-created hardship. The only way really to avoid these variances would be to reduce the size of the addition. I don't think the layout would work if we had to reduce it by the 165 square feet. I don't think he would end up with the room sizes they're looking for.
And it appears that it's a unique lot in that the side that the encroachment is on is angled.
Correct.
It's only in one corner that you're in.
Yes.
Anyone on the board have any questions?
No? Okay.
Planning?
No, thank you.
Anyone in the audience? All right. A motion to close.
So moved.
Second.
Regularly moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next case on the agenda is number 18052, Christopher Adamo, 139 Ledgewood Drive, Smithtown. The location of the property is the southeast corner of Holly Drive and Ledgewood Drive. The property is zoned R21. The applicant is requesting variances to reduce the minimum rear yard from 75 feet to 67 feet, reduce the minimum side yard from 16 feet to 12 feet for a proposed 212 square foot second-story addition.
That's all right.
Hi, my name is Marie Adamo. I reside at 139 Ledgewood Drive, Smithtown.
Okay. Good evening. Would you like the gentleman to speak on your behalf? No?
Either, yeah. Architect, so.
Good evening.
Good evening. Mark Mancini, architect, Town of Smithtown, 222 Middle Country Road. Good evening, board members. This is, get myself set here, Tom. Okay, what we're seeking tonight is, this is a typical corner lot where you have two front yards. We have a split-level house, and we're asking for a side yard variance to bring it from 16 feet down to 12, and a rear yard from 75 to 67. The problem with corner lots, as you know, is you have two front yards, and in this particular case with the split level, typical split level, when you come into the house, you have the kitchen in the back, which is kind of cramped, and you have a dining room to the right. The dining room is great to have coffee in, but for Thanksgiving dinner next week, it's not going to work. So what we're going to do is push the house out a little bit on the side and a little bit towards the rear. And the reason why we're offsetting it is because the previous owner had built a nice outdoor stairway, and it's kind of in the way to have us make it even with the rest of the house. So it works out kind of nice. It gives us the space that you need in today's modern living, with a nice, good dining room and a nice sized kitchen, and still have the split level with the bedrooms upstairs. Any questions?
You anticipate having this done by next Thursday?
Yes.
I'll make sure everything.
Way to go.
Anyone else have any questions? No. Anyone in the audience have any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Oh, we need a motion to close.
So
Listen, I'm
moved.
new at this, Rick.
So moved.
Thank you, Rick.
Second?
Second.
Regularly moved in second, all in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
The next case on the agenda, number 18053, Shenyang. The location of the property is the west side of Gibbs Pond Road. Thank you. 1,390 feet south of Lake Avenue. The property is zoned R15. The applicant is requesting variances to reduce the minimum road frontage from 40 feet to 34 feet, reduce the minimum lot frontage at the setback line from 100 feet to 32 feet for a proposed 2,719 square foot single-family home with 448 square foot attached garage.
Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is William Garbarino, 40 Main Street, Sayville, New York, representing the applicant, Chenyang. This is an application on a piece of property that has been in single and separate ownership since 1966. In view of same, we need two variances. One, minimum lot frontage on Gibbs Pond Road, and it's basically a flag lot, and that's what we're here for tonight. In connection with this application, we truly believe that the request will not have an adverse effect on the nature and character of the area. We can't get this we can't solve this problem by any other means, because It's a flag lot. It's been that way since 1966. Whether it's substantial, well, the width of the entranceway of the pole of the flag lot is 34 feet versus 40 feet, which is basically requesting a 15% variance. We're not seeking any other variances on the property. We have sufficient. We have almost more than double the lot area. There are no environmental impacts that would affect the development of this property. The only thing that we have is we don't have the minimum frontage, and that's why we're here tonight. It hasn't been self-created by the applicant or the present owner because this was single and separate since 1966. So nobody that owns a property or wants it created this thing. Somebody did this a long time ago, and that's why we're here. We believe that it will not have an adverse effect on the environmental or physical conditions of the neighborhood. It's going to be set back. It's a large lot, and if you look at the other, it's bigger than the other lots that it abuts. So if you balance the equities between the benefit to the applicant against the detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood and community, we feel that we have a application that warrants grant. If you have any questions, I'll try to address them now.
Okay. Anyone on the board have any questions?
No question.
No? Planning?
No, thank you.
No, thank you. Anyone in the audience? All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you.
Make a motion to close the hearing?
So moved. Second.
Thank you very
Regularly
much.
moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Thank you.
The next case on the agenda is number 18054, Richard Verone, 75 9th Avenue, Kings Park. The location of the property is the west side of 9th Avenue, 443 feet north of Emily Place. The property is zoned R10. The applicant is requesting variances to reduce the minimum front yard from 40 feet to 16 feet, which is existing, for an existing 112 square foot enclosed porch. Reduce the minimum side yard from 12 feet to 8 feet, and total side yards from 28 feet to 18 feet, which is existing at 26 feet, for an existing 167 square foot sunroom. Yeah, I can go through it. Thank you. I don't think we need the deed. Yeah, that's fine. Looks good. Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Your name and address for the record?
My name is Richard Verone, and I live at 81 Hilltop Drive in Smithtown. And I'm here to talk on behalf of the residents at 75 9th Avenue regarding the front porch and the side porch. That was my parents' house, and it was in a living trust. And when they passed, and my mom 2015, my dad in 2017, I took the house over and was working on it and cleaning it up in order to sell it. And when we finally got ready to sell the house, we went to the town to get all the COs because we have a buyer. And they said, is there all the COs in place? And we said, yes. So they went ahead and got the bank to do a survey, and then there was a discrepancy with the COs. So we're here to correct it because it seems like we had the CO in there, but the CO was addressed to somebody else's name, and a permit was numbered to somebody else's name. But we're talking back in the 60s, so we didn't have the technology as if we do today. So the other COs were fine. It was just a CO regarding the front porch and the side porch. So I'm here to correct it and seeking approval to get this corrected, to get the COs set up so the new buyers can come in and buy the house. The porch has been there for over 47 years, the front and the side. It's all conformed when they poured the cement foundation, It's to the neighborhood. It's all conformed to the neighborhood, and there's no restriction. And my parents did it. It wasn't me, and it wouldn't be substantial to move it or anything because it is a side porch and it is a front porch. And the variance wouldn't cause any adverse effect because we're not doing any building. It's been there.
Thank you. Anyone on the board have any questions?
No question.
No? Planning Department?
No, thank you.
How about anyone in the audience? All right, thank you.
Thank you
No
very
motion to
much.
close the hearing?
So moved.
Regularly moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
Thank you.
The next case on the agenda is case number 18055, Cosentino Realty. The location is the northeast corner of Comac Road and Henry Street in Comac. The property is zoned NB. The applicant is requesting a special exception to permit a filling station with accessory convenience sales, to increase the amount of convenience sales from 1,000 square feet to 3,010 square feet, to permit a prohibited sign for 3 signs on a canopy, to permit a sign with red and green illuminated portions within 100 feet from the point of intersection of the nearest street lines.
Good evening.
Good evening, Ms. Chairperson, board members. John Baker, Vice President of Construction and Development for Constantino Brothers and PJ Venture. Before you tonight, we have that application sitting as placed at the corner of Henry Street and Comac Road. It's a little over an acre site, about 45,000 square feet. We're proposing a filling station with a convenience store, the convenience store of a little over 3,000 square feet, and then a filling station in front. In the set of plans that you have in front of you, there's also a sheet showing how each one of those uses can stand on their own.
All right. There was a PAR prepared. Did you get a chance to take a look at that?
Say that once again?
Planning Advisory Report, did you get a chance to take a look at that? Any comments on their recommendations?
No, the recommendation with the canopy signs, I understand that. If you
Yes.
could look at just one sign on the south side, if you're coming up Henry Street from Crooked Hill Road, that south side of the building is remaining naturally treed. There's no way to put a sign on the side of that building, so the only designation would be one sign on the south side of that canopy on the east end of it.
Okay.
And if you could live with that, and Blaze and I went over the ground sign, pushing it back.
Yeah, the concern was the red and green
Right.
ground sign being so close to
Yeah.
that intersection.
I got an aerial in color which shows you that intersection and its distance.
Just grab that mic though, so Rick can get it all, because he can't hear you.
Traffic signals.
Can you grab the
Okay,
mic
grab
just
the
so
mic,
Rick can
yeah.
hear you? See that?
You can see here's Henry Street coming up. You got the Red Robin, the Chick-fil-A, Sloan Kettering, all on this side of the road, all SCB and neighborhood business. This is SCB over here, and then you got a diner and a gas station down further. You can see how far off the signals are off the corner. The one proposal was to sit it as over here, but it would be blocked by this large stanchion. So moving it back to 100 feet from the intersection would put it in here somewhere, which would be fine.
Okay.
I think it would be fine.
All right.
And as you see with that building on this drawing here, let me even turn it around. Let's see.
Just make sure you get that mic up, John.
Yeah. Let's see where we're at here. Okay, this is Comac Road. This is, this is Henry. This is all remaining natural. So if there was a sign here, you'd never see it.
Okay.
So if we could put one right in this corner, at least somebody coming up Henry would be able to look at it.
Okay. So on the west
On the
elevation.
southeast corner.
Southeast.
On the south.
Southeast corner of the
on the southeast corner is where you would like the sign.
Yeah, we could.
Okay.
One canopy sign.
Okay. All right, if you can go to the podium.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, anyone on the board have any questions?
No question.
Planning?
I think that John covered all of the points that we made in the planning advisory report. The only concerns we had was the proximity of the sign to the traffic signal and the amount of signage that was being proposed on the canopy.
Okay, so we'll make the planning advisory report part of the record. Anything else, John?
That's it,
You want this back?
if you don't mind. Or do you
Does-
guys want to look at it?
No. You want to take a look? You got it. Anyone in the audience have any questions? All right, need a motion to close.
So moved. Second.
Regularly moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks, John. Thank you. John, we don't have a seeker on that, so we can't make a decision this evening.
Mr. Chairman, before I call the next case, I just want the board to be aware that the next two cases are actually related to each other. So if the board would rather address both of them at the same time,
Yep.
I can call the roll for both. The first application is case number 18057, Mikkel Stylerek, 269 North Country Road, Smithtown. The location of the property, the northwest corner of North Country Road and Lizetta Street. The property is zoned R10. The applicant is requesting variances to reduce the minimum front yard from 25 feet to 20 feet for an existing 175 square foot enclosed porch, to permit a fence greater than 4 feet in the required front yard for an existing 6-foot fence. The second application is number 18058, the same applicant, Mikkel Stylerek, 269 North Country Road, Smithtown, the northwest corner of North Country Road and Lizetta Street. The property is zoned R10. The applicant is requesting variances to reduce the minimum front yard from 40 feet to 25 feet, increase the maximum height of a retaining wall from 6 feet to 10 feet, 40 feet long, permit a proposed retaining wall to be constructed within 10 feet of any slope higher than 5 feet and having a slope greater than 25%, reduce the minimum required setback of a 6-foot retaining wall from the property line from 6 feet to 5 feet.
Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is John Zolo. I'm here on behalf of the applicant, Mikkel Stylerek. And case numbers 18057 and 18058, as Mr. Donadio had said, are related. It's all property that fronts on 269 North Country Road in Smithtown. And I'll just proceed on these cases kind of in tandem. With respect to 18057, that's Suffolk County Tax Map number 82-1-8. That's an existing house. That used to be Honey Schubert house on 25 on North Country Road. It was purchased by my client in 2004. And behind that is a second parcel, Lot 9, which is 18058. That's a vacant parcel, approximately 22,000 square feet, and we're looking for variances on that to build a new home. The property is situated in the northwest corner of North Country Road and Lizetta Street. Lizetta Street is a paper street. I have on the board here, I have just highlighted this. This was part of a 280A application that's pending before the planning board. 280A application was pursued to extend the paper street to the lot in the back to Lot 9. What happened after the 280A application had commenced, originally the client and the person who was looking to purchase the property wanted to put a road from 25A, North Country Road, up to the back lot, but it was suggested to make it a larger road, 25 feet in width, with a big radius turnaround. That has since changed. What's proposed now, while we're here for the variance, is we're going to eventually, we're going to abandon Lizetta Street to the adjoining neighbors. Lizetta Street runs from from North Country Road to Hurton Boulevard. There are 8 parcels affected by the abandonment. The abandonment has not been filed yet. It will be filed. It was suggested at one point to pursue the variances, and then obviously this application, the decision would be held in abeyance pending the filing and approval of the abandonment. I see some of the neighbors are here who were present for the 280 application, and one of the reasons why the town suggested, and everyone kind of recognized after meeting with Dave Flynn, that it would be more appropriate and better for the site not to do the extension of the paper street, but go with an abandonment and then let the prospective builder of the lot in the back take a driveway from 25A up to the back lot to Lot 9. So we will be eventually withdrawing the planning board application and pursuing the abandonment for Lozetta Street. So Lozetta Street is a paper street that goes from North Country Road to Hurton Boulevard. My client has 2 parcels that would benefit from the abandonment. The one where the existing structure would have frontage on Lozetta, would get about 122 feet, and Lot 9, which has frontage on Lozetta, would pick up about 220 feet north and south, and 25 feet as to split the road in half. The total of 8 properties adjoin the paper street on Lozetta. As I said, the 280 application was pending, and for all intents and purposes, that will be withdrawn, but it's kind of languished with the planning board while this application has proceeded, and it's been a little bit slow in moving forward, in large part because of just workload in my office, and also the abandonment process is a bit of a cumbersome one, and there were some title issues we had to do a search on. So with respect to the lot number 18057, where the house is, that's an existing structure, and what we're looking to asking this board to consider would be there's a 175 square foot enclosed porch that, because of the way the lot is situate, Lozetta Street and Paper Street, now that we're moving forward with the application to get a building permit for the back lot, Lot 9, the enclosed porch is 20 feet from the edge of Lozetta, where it should be 25 because they're viewing that as part of the front yard. When the abandonment actually is approved, this variance will end up not being necessary. There's also a stockade fence that runs east to west on the property. It's set back approximately 48 feet from North Country Road. It's a wooden stockade fence, and it's 6 feet in height, and that fence has been there for many years. And again, it's set back a little bit of privacy. As you know, 25 is a busy road, so it gives a little bit of privacy to the people who are living at at 269 North Country Road. So asking for the board for the existing structure to grant the variance, reducing the front yard from 25 feet to 20 feet for the enclosed porch that's been there for many years, and also asking that the fence that has been there, the 6-foot stockade fence of 6 foot in height, be allowed to remain. Again, there would have been no issues with respect to this property had it not been for the application to seek to build a house in the back. Lot number 9, which is case number 18058, is in R10 zoning. The lot dimensions are 100 by 220 to 22,000 square foot lot. I'm going to provide you with a survey.
I think we have one in the file, Mr. Zoll.
Yeah.
I think so.
Let me see what you have there. This is showing the
Just grab the mic, so because Rick can't hear you.
Mr. Chairman, what you're looking at shows the slopes of greater than 25% and 15 to 25%. That's where the shading is. That was presented to the building department for the slopes because they want to in order to determine the variance, and also for the retaining wall. But what you have there shows the prior plan, which would have been the
Okay.
280 application. So while the slopes are there, that's why I have this in front of me here. It shows the slopes, but it doesn't show the actual plan for the road. That's what I have here is just the surveys will show you the lot itself.
go.
This is just, shows just the building lot. That was the reason why I presented this. It also shows a retaining wall that will be proposed on the second page.
Thank you.
So one of the things you have here is the proposed house will actually be set back, I believe, about 16 feet from the house in front of it. The goal is to build this house without disturbing as little as possible the environmentally sensitive slopes. We have proposed retaining walls. So requesting the front yard setback is 40 feet to 25 feet. We'll have a 25-foot access frontage from that lot to North Country Road. Requesting, because of the slopes on the property, it's a 22,000 square foot property. Most of the development of the property will be towards the front of the lot, leaving most of the back of the property not disturbed. We're putting in retaining walls, asking for the variance for increase the maximum height for retaining wall from 6 feet to 10 feet, for a 40-foot long retaining wall, which that's how it was measured going along on that curve. And then to permit structures, a retaining wall to be constructed within 10 feet of any slope higher than 5 feet and having a slope greater than 25%. And requesting a minimum setback for a 6-foot high retaining wall from the property line from 6 feet to 5 foot 3 inches. So what I presented to you here on this board, again, this was the prior plan with the abandonment, but the house is where, it shows where the house will be situate on the property. And the intention and desire is to locate the house on this parcel and minimize the disturbance to the parcels, to the property to the rear, so not affecting those other lots, or affect them as little as possible. And the lot itself is conforms to the R10 zoning. We just require the variances for the environmentally sensitive slopes and to construct a single-family residence on the parcel. And unless anyone has any questions for me?
Question on the rear lot. I guess that's case number 18058.
That's lot 9, the vacant lot?
Correct. If the abandonment of Lizetta Street takes place, the need for the 25-foot setback variance back there would disappear as well, no?
Correct. Correct.
I'm a little confused how we make will any other variances be kicked off by the abandonment of Lizetta Street? And if so, how do we deal with them?
I think the biggest concern would be the fact that if the abandonment took place, the paper street would actually be divided amongst all of the property owners that are adjacent to the right-of-way. It would, in effect, make this vacant lot landlocked because it doesn't front on any road frontage. So I would think that there would be variances for that. There would be variances because I think the applicant would need an easement agreement between the other property owners to create the driveway to have access to the lot.
Or at least the lot
Or at least
directly in front, which
Right.
the applicant
The
owns.
applicant owns both lots, yes.
Right.
And that was something that had been discussed, but at least my understanding, we had met with Dave Flynn when he was planning director, and he said pursue the variances now when we would address that later in terms of the easement to it's basically creating a flag lot to get to the back lot from 25A to get to the back lot. And the abandonment is something that will happen, and the 25 feet would reduce, it would not require the two variances for each individual lot. But other than that, other variances we're talking about really are retaining wall lots, retaining wall variances, which are going to be required.
So essentially, the application that's before us, as it's written, is as if the 280A was going through and this street is getting improved.
Correct.
But you don't want us to act on those variances because
Correct. I just
subsequent to this.
I want to take the application before the board, have the hearing, and I'm working at this point diligently. We've ordered the title to do the chain of title search for there's 8 lots we had to take care of, and my client, I had written asking for the each person is going to benefit from this to pay a proportionate share, but no one responded, so my client is, the contract vendee is taking care of that. We just ordered that, so I'll be moving forward with filing the abandonment papers within the next 3 to 4 weeks, hopefully.
I'm wondering if it's almost a better solution to keep the case open and present the whole picture rather than, obviously, we could make a decision and put all the conditions on it we want, but it's easier if we are actually looking at a picture and saying, okay, this is the way it's going to actually lay out.
And, Mr. Chairman, that's what you're thinking is kind of what I thought would happen tonight, leave it open, let me file the abandonment, but I had wanted to get this application before the Board of Zoning Appeals because I'm not sure really of how long the abandonment will take.
Okay.
I just wanted to get this case moving, so let the neighbors know that we're moving forward, also let my client know that we're moving forward, and it has languished, and
Okay.
in large part languished not because of my office, but also just in terms of the abandonment itself, it's kind of a cumbersome process.
Okay. Okay, so I guess, does anyone on the board have any
Not at this time.
Not at this time, but I,
Not yet.
yeah.
planning, you have anything to add?
Nothing further?
Okay, we're going to keep the case open, but if anyone in the audience has any comments you want to make, we'd like to hear your comments.
Good evening, I'm
Good evening.
Tracy Epstein. I'm sorry?
And address, please?
Yes, 30 Hurton Boulevard, Smithtown.
Good
My
evening.
property is directly in back of the
Spell
house
your
that's
last name.
proposing to be built.
You need spelling, Rick? No, he's good.
Okay. With all due respect to Mr. Zolo, all of the homeowners, or some of the homeowners, are also here as well. We did not receive communication about title search or anything of that nature. It was our understanding, because this matter came before meetings with the planning board multiple times in 2017 as well as earlier this year, that the abandonment needed to happen first, and that Mr. Zolo's office was going to proceed with that. All of us homeowners paid substantial sum to have a survey done. I have that with me if anyone wants to see it. Mr. Zolo has that survey, so we were waiting for that proceeding to be done. And we, quite frankly, were quite surprised to know that there was something going on here tonight, that there were applications for variances, because it was our understanding, again, that the abandonment needed to proceed first. So I also am not aware of what the significance of the retaining wall is. My property is very high up behind the property that's proposed to be built. There is a large multi-tiered wall that supports my property, so if there are additional walls that are sought, I'm extremely concerned about the integrity of my property and my house and how it would be affected. I've received no information or communication about that proposal. I'm sure that my neighbors also have some questions. There are other structures on the property that perhaps might be addressed, and I would like to have some further information about the character and the nature of these variances, because I don't really understand what is being referred to here. And I also only received 18057, not, I'm sorry, 18058, not 18057, so
You
I
might
don't know
not be
why,
within 200 feet of that lot.
Okay. Well,
But as we had said, we're going to hold the case open so that there can be a clearer picture presented so everyone kind of knows what's going on. If that makes you feel any better, you'll obviously be notified of future meetings so that you can come and see that, or at any time you can go to the planning department.
yes, absolutely, I will. I have, and I will continue to do that. I'm sure that my neighbors would also like to speak.
Anyone else?
Good evening, I'm John Niebuhr. I live at 7 Pia Boulevard, which is
He can't,
Spelling of your last name?
Niebuhr,
can't hear him.
Niebuhr. First name John, 7 Pia Boulevard. 7 Pia, P-I-A Boulevard.
Thank you.
And the reason I got up here was because I didn't want Tracy to come up all by herself. As long as you keep it open, it's our understanding, all the homeowners that are here and the few that are not here, it's our understanding that the road abandonment is going to take precedent, and Mr. Solo is going to ensure that that happens. I know he's a busy man. We got the survey done more than 8 months ago, I think, and we're just waiting patiently. So that's all.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Anyone else? Yes,
Oh,
one
wait a
more,
minute.
John.
Good evening. My name is Susan Mangano, and I reside at 9 PIA Boulevard, Smithtown. I just want to reiterate that the last meeting, and we've had multiple meetings privately and in an open forum such as this, that the last meeting was that nothing would happen until the abandonment happened. And we all got the survey, spent the money, did that. And Mr. Zolo, I'm sure, is very busy, but has not, he was supposed to take the responsibility in his office and his client to take the responsibility to have the abandonment done. And nothing was going to happen until that was done. We have asked multiple times at multiple meetings of what their plan was in regards to the original structure in the front and what the plan was for the new structure. And we've gotten, nothing was going to happen in the front, that was going to stay, because there was multiple issues there, and they were just going to, build a new structure with a driveway instead of a road, and nothing was going to happen again until the abandonment was done. So we've gotten nowhere, and I feel like the clock is just, we're just running out of the clock, and now we've come up with this new issue here. But nothing should be addressed until the abandonment is taken care of properly.
Well, I can assure you that nothing will happen until we have a clear picture for you. And if you continue to come to these meetings, you'll know exactly what's going to happen.
Okay, great. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman and members of the board, I have succeeded in getting my client upset with me and the residents upset with me. So I apologize to the board, but I have notes also, and Dave Flynn had suggested filing for the variance before going for the abandonment, but running them kind of simultaneously. And again, I've heard several people say I'm very busy. We're all busy. I have an expression about excuses, but I won't use it because we're in a public audience. But I will take care of it. I don't want anyone to think there's nothing being done underhanded. We will take care of this. I will meet with them again. I have restructured some of the things I do in my own office to make sure that I take care of this problem, and something like this doesn't happen again. So I thank the board for their patience. I thank the neighbors for understanding, and my client also, and we'll take care of this. But
And I'm
thank you so
certain,
much.
even if it is a lengthy process, as long as we have a clear picture of what the abandonment will look like, we can make a decision subject to that abandonment
And
taking
that's just-
place. And that's,
I don't think anyone really appreciates this is a kind of a complicated process, and it's cumbersome. So it'll be taken care of. Again, I thank the board for their indulgence and their kindness, and I'll meet with the residents in about 2 weeks after I sit down with someone else in my office. Thank you.
thank you. A motion to close. Oh, actually, we're going to keep it open.
Open,
Do
yeah.
we want to set a date? Or
Certainly after the new year, I would say possibly
Is-
the second
is
meeting in January.
sometime in January, okay, to get everything put together, you think?
Yes.
I haven't seen the calendar for January yet.
Just give me one moment. I believe the second meeting in January will be January 22nd.
Okay, so if you want to mark your calendars, January 22nd, we'll have another meeting. If it gets
January 20
postponed,
22nd or 27th?
22nd, you said, right?
22nd.
22nd.
They can call too if they.
You can call the planning department and check, but it won't be advertised, but there'll be a sign put on both properties that let you know that's the meeting date. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so we're leaving that one open.
Who is that?
I don't know. Probably the next applicant.
Oh, the guy just waved to me, I think. I don't know.
You want to take one?
Nope. Whenever you're ready. Wait a second. Hold on. Bring
Wait a
those back.
minute.
Wait.
Back.
Give me the first one back.
Back. First.
Keep it all
I did what I always do for Adrian.
All right. You're entitled.
Just give me that.
Isn't he too funny?
The man is busy.
All right. All right, so before I call the roll, Mr. Chairman, just to let you know The next two cases, as with the previous applications, are both related sites.
Hold on one sec.
2 or 3 cases?
Two cases, one 8059 and one 8060. No, it's on a different road.
It's on a different road, is that what it, okay.
Yeah. Put it up there.
After the meeting, yeah. Just because we have another case on right now.
Aren't there 3 cases?
Yeah, but the first two are related, the last one's not.
Did you call it?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Hi.
Do you want me to read the cases?
Yeah, we got to read the case.
Yeah.
Sure, sure.
We'll read both cases.
Yes. The first case, 18059, Contract Pharmacal, 150 Commerce Drive in Hopog. The location of the property is the north side of Commerce Drive, 959 feet west of Adams Avenue. The property is zoned LI. The applicant is requesting variances to reduce the minimum parking setback from the front property line from 50 feet to 10 feet, reduce the minimum parking setback from the side property line from 6 feet to 2 feet, reduce the minimum parking setback from the front property line from 50 feet to 11 feet. I guess this is, no, never mind. Reduce the minimum parking setback from the side yard from 6 feet to 2.5 feet. The second case is case number 18060. Again, Contract Pharmacal at 160 Commerce Drive, the north side of Commerce, 741 feet west of Adams Avenue, zoned LI. The applicant is requesting variances to reduce the parking setback from the front property line from 50 feet to 10 feet, reduce the minimum parking setback from the side property line from 6 feet to 20 feet, and reduce the minimum parking setback, again, from the other side
Second
lot
case.
line, from 6 feet to 2.5 feet. And I think it might be a little screwed up, but it all works,
That's the gist.
as it is.
Hold on. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Could you guys just go in the library right down the hall there? Thank you.
Good.
Whenever you're ready.
How are you? Garrett Gray, Weber Law Group, 290 Broad Hollow Road, Melville, New York. I represent the Wolf Family LLC, which does business as Contract Pharmacal. The owner of the subject property with me today is Sol Niego, architect from Niego Associates. I've been before this board several times on the same client. Contract Pharmacal was one of the first buildings in this industrial park. Having moved there in the late 1970s, it was also one of the original IDAs in this industrial park. The town of Smithtown is Contract Pharmacal's only U.S. location. It's made substantial investment in this industrial park. Indeed, at the present time, it owns 5 buildings in the industrial park, leases 5 buildings in the industrial park, and is currently a contract vendee to acquire a 6th building, which we're going to discuss later on. All 11 of these buildings are located in the Hapa Industrial Park. When I first came before this board, I think in about 2012, Contract Pharmacal had around 600 employees. Through its growth, it now employs over 1,350 people. And as a result of the variances being sought today in this application and the next, expects that number to rise to over 1,500 employees within the next 2 years. Wow. They are one of the top 25 private employers on Long Island. The majority of these employees are Suffolk County residents, and many reside in Smithtown. What we are seeking today is pretty much the same variance for 2 adjacent buildings, 150 and 160 Commerce Drive. They both need basically a little bit more parking. There is no place else on the site that we could find to put it other than to create a lot in the front. We expect that there'll be grass around it, landscaping. You have granted setback relief to us for a similar purpose at their location at 135 Adams Avenue, you may recall, which is on the corner of Adams Avenue and Suffolk Court. And that prevented a lot of people from parking on the street all down Suffolk Court, and were able to move into the lot. I would tell you the locations, section, block, and lot. You have all that. The entire area, as you know, is industrial. The 2 setback variances, I believe the 5 factors tip in our favor. There's no negative impact on adjacent properties. They're all industrial properties. The variances being sought aren't substantial. We're only seeking to add 17 cars. We're not looking to add hundreds and hundreds of cars. It's just to make employee parking a little bit easier. The benefit cannot be achieved by any other means. There's no additional parking area available on the site. There's no adverse effect on the environment. As a matter of fact, there's a beneficial effect, as more parking means less idling of cars, and the difficulty is absolutely self-created. I still have yet to find the circumstance where difficulty is not self-created. And that really applies to both 150 and 160. If you've seen the overhead, the buildings themselves are almost identical in size. The one at 150 is 35,975 square feet. The one at 160 is 34,997 square feet. They're both 2 acres of property. They both have about 220 feet of frontage on Commerce Drive, and that's really the application.
Okay. Do you have the variance number for that previous application?
I do not.
Okay.
I can get it.
Is that something we would have?
I can look it up.
Do you know what was the address?
It was 135 Adams Avenue.
35 Adams Avenue.
That had 2 front yards. And you remember.
I remember.
And we were looking to add a parking lot to the second front yard, the one on Suffolk Court.
Okay. One of the concerns is that the industrial park has a certain look, and the 50-foot front yards was by design to kind of keep that bucolic look. And I know we're very diligent about trying to maintain that wherever we can and avoid setting precedents. Is there anywhere else on this site where you can find?
Funny you should mention that. I was actually in the Smithtown Planning Department today on another unrelated matter, and this was for the first time brought to my attention. I met with Peter Hans and David Barnes, and Blaze, were you there?
I was.
You were there too, okay. And there was a sketch that they had done that showed different ways that additional parking could be achieved without expanding all the way out into the front yard, and we're certainly receptive to that, and we wouldn't mind if you wanted to table it for tonight to give us, Sal and I, a chance to go in and sit down with them and see if we could come up with something.
That might be best, just because we work so hard trying to not, and I can't for the life of me remember many cases at all.
You can't unring a bell. I understand.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so we don't have a problem with that.
So is everyone okay with leaving this one open?
That's fine.
We'll get a better, all right, perfect. How long?
Well, I guess that depends on how quickly we can set up a meeting.
You'd be amazed how fast I can get in there.
So.
Next week. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
I would say, just to be on the safe side, if you want to adjourn it to December 11th.
First meeting in December work for you guys?
Yeah.
Okay. To December 11th. That's one of the benefits of being chair for a night, is you can do whatever you want.
See that?
That's right.
Done. Blaze, I'll call you tomorrow and we'll set it up.
All righty.
Oh,
Okay, so both cases for December 11th.
that was one of those, yeah. No action on those?
Yes, we're going to keep it open. Is there anyone in the audience like to be heard on this application? I don't think so.
I don't think so.
All right, so we're going to keep that one open.
One more.
All righty.
Oh, I got this here. I'm sorry.
The next case on the agenda is case number 18061, Contract Pharmacal. 165 Asura Avenue, Hapa. The location of the property, the south side of Asura Avenue, 692 feet west of Marcus Boulevard. The property is zoned LI. The applicant is requesting variances to increase the maximum gross floor area from 42% to 48%, reduce the minimum required landscaped area from 18% to 15% of the lot, reduce the minimum required parking spaces from 887 to 480, reduce the rear yard setback from 50 feet to 23 feet, and to eliminate 13 required landscape islands.
Once again, Garrett Gray, River Law Group, 290 Broad Hollow Road. This is actually going to be the pièce de résistance of our building library. What we are doing, we currently own the property at 145 Oser Avenue, which is improved with a 70,000 square foot one-story industrial building. We are contract vendees to acquire the property at 165 Oser Avenue, immediately next door, which is presently improved with a 17,213 square foot industrial building. We plan to construct a 139,925 building with a cellar that will join our existing building at 145 Oser with the newly acquired smaller building at 165 Oser. Basically, Contract Pharmacal, every time that they acquire a large contract, if you will, a product that they have to manufacture, they need more space. For example, they manufacture Rolaids. You'd be amazed how much space Rolaids take because they're the nationwide manufacturer for that. They have recently been blessed, if you will, with several new contracts which require them to acquire a lot of space, and this was a huge opportunity. They will be moving their corporate offices to this 165 location. It will be used primarily for manufacturing. The bulk of it will be used primarily for manufacturing and warehousing. With today's technology, manufacturing and warehousing do not require nearly as many employees as they used to, and therefore the parking variance, while it seems shocking when you hear it, that is basically because it had to take into account the cellar, which was going to be used for dead file storage. They're required by the FDA to maintain records for like 10 years, just like lawyers are required to maintain files for 7 years, banks are required to maintain files. So we can't throw them out. We have to keep them somewhere, and we keep them in the cellar on site. Obviously, they don't require any employees down there, but it's still space that has to be counted. The variances that are being sought are not going to have any impact really on industrial properties in the vicinity. Most of it you won't be able to see from the street. For example, the rear yard setback. We did a Google search to look what was in the rear yard between this building and the building opposite it. There's a huge swath of trees, so nobody's going to be able to see one another from the rear. You're not going to see the landscaped islands that would have been towards the back of the site. You're not going to see the GFA 48 to 42 to 48. You're not going to see, in that matter, the variances sought aren't substantial. At least some of them aren't. It's only a 12.5% gross floor area variance, a 16.7% landscaping variance. As I said before, the benefit can't be achieved by any other means. This fulfills their needs. It most importantly allows them to stay in the Hapa Industrial Park as opposed to going elsewhere. You would be amazed how long it's taken them to find additional space. You would think that oh, there are going to be buildings for sale right and left. There aren't. They've been looking for years, and any time an opportunity comes up, they snatch it. And even if it meant acquiring a very small building, like 17,000 square feet, but it sits on 11.1 acres. So that gave them the space they need, and they're willing to invest. The total cost of this project is $40 million being pushed into the economy using New York First, using Suffolk County vendors, using Suffolk County employees. They are a union shop, which makes a lot of people in that field happy. There's no adverse effect on the environment. This is done as green as possible. And the difficulty, again, I'll give you self-created. But it's really this board and the various variances that we've been able to obtain that have allowed us to stay and flourish so long where we are. And whereas you read every day companies moving to New Jersey, Pennsylvania, we have no intentions on moving. This will be our 11th building. So if we haven't shown we're here for the long haul, I don't know what else you need.
What's the anticipated employee count at this facility?
At this facility, 200.
All one shift or multiple shifts?
Oh, they have three shifts.
So three shifts of 200 or?
3 shifts, 200.
3 shifts of 200.
Okay, and is this going to be a sales location, or is it strictly manufacturing?
It's manufacturing and warehousing.
Okay, so there's not a significant amount of people visiting the site?
No, nobody.
It's just after hearing the previous two applications where you have two buildings that meet the parking requirement, needing more parking, and then seeing it's going to be way under parking.
Because of this building being created, we're preparing, because the other buildings are now going to be rejiggered as far as what they're being used for. So, for example, a building that had been used for distribution and warehousing is now going to be used for maybe sales or something like that. So that's why.
Okay. Anyone on the board have any questions?
No.
Planning?
Well, Mr. Chairman, I would have had some information to give you tonight. Unfortunately, the new audio-video system that we were anticipating utilizing tonight is not up and running, and we did not bring any hard copies of site plans. Basically, what we did was we received the preliminary plan about a month and a half ago. We did mark it up with some concerns and questions about some information that wasn't on the plan. We were looking for a revised plan so that we could provide comments and perhaps some recommendations on how the design might be improved. Unfortunately, to date, we don't have that as of yet. So until we receive something that addresses some of the concerns that we've already stated previously, we don't really have a recommendation at this point. And unfortunately, I don't really have anything to show you because I don't have a hard copy of it.
Well,
Did you receive the comments that they had on the initial application?
Okay. I didn't get any solace saying he didn't see them. This issue was brought up to me again today while I was at planning. I was also told none of these comments directly affects the variances that we're seeking today, but I did give, Blaze my word, anything that needs to be addressed will be addressed.
Are they Board of Site Plan Review?
I think some of the
Related
issues.
more
I think
than-
some
more
of the
than-
issues are. There are some other issues that perhaps, if there was some tweaks made to the site plan, perhaps, it may not change any of the variances per se. It might relax a couple of them a little bit, not by a tremendous amount. But there certainly are issues that the Board of Site Plan Review will look at, and they will have comments and they will want changes made.
Yeah.
We have no problem
This is a
with
big enough application. Do you guys think you're going to be here on the 11th anyway? Is that something you think you could review? And
The problem that we have is we have a contract that requires us to close very quickly.
Okay.
So and in order to close, again by the contract, we need this board's approval, and we need the financing in place.
We don't have
The
a secret.
financing is being put in
There's no
place.
secret.
I'm sorry?
We don't have secret,
Secret.
so we can't act until at least the next meeting,
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah.
Well, if you can't act, then you can't act. Then it's got to, the 11th is the next meeting?
The
We have
next
one meeting,
is The 27th?
the 27th of this month, and then the 11th. I don't think you have enough time to get the advertising out for the 27th.
No.
I don't think you need advertising if you adjourn it.
If it's adjourned, they would just have to repost.
We post.
Yeah.
So do we want to just,
If it's adjourned, let's continue.
just, I mean, if we could, if there's something that affects a variance, you know, it may sway someone on the board to approve something that they may otherwise be inclined to disapprove. And if we can't act anyway until the next meeting,
And if planning is going to have comments for us forthcoming, wouldn't the applicant need the opportunity to address
Exactly.
us in response to the comments?
exactly. Well, yeah, so I think there's no harm in waiting, and if we can get you on for the next meeting and have you come in then, I think that might be the best for everyone concerned, because we'll have the clear picture. Planning will be able to make its
On the
comments.
27th?
27th, can we do it?
Sure.
If we meet quickly, and if there are some revisions needed before the next meeting and they can be done,
They'll be done.
You'd be amazed at how quickly they can get
I
things.
would be
amazed.
amazed.
You're going to be seeing a lot of me. So that's 11/27.
Right.
All right, let's put them on for 11/27. Good.
Ladies, now I'm going to call you really early tomorrow.
Is there anyone here who'd like to be heard on application 18061? All right, we'll see you on the 27th. And that's it for our public portion?
Public portion.
And that is it for our Board of Zoning Appeals hearing for this evening. Have a good night.